Do you struggle with content creation process even though you have plenty of ideas? Then you are not alone. Surprisingly, many content creators find the real obstacle is not really the lack of inspiration, but it's more of disorganized thoughts and ideas. If you want to turn your creativity into compelling content that engages your audience, then it's time to get your ideas in order. For me, Notion has been a lifesaver when it comes to staying organized and then working on my content from ideation to creation and finally publishing them. Especially YouTube content that takes far more time and effort than any other piece. So tune in with me now to discover how better organization with Notion can unlock your potential and take your content creation to the next level without losing your mind. If you don't know what Notion is, it's an all-in-one workspace for your note-taking, planning and organizing many areas of your life. And one of the top most loved way of using Notion by many like myself is to use it as a content creation hub. Notion being highly flexible to customization, those works great for those who have specific ways they want to plan, organize and carry out their tasks. And it has excellent collaborative capabilities which makes it very easy to share work with your team with the help of properties meant to assign items to one another and also comment and mention another person within the page itself, even on a specific line if you need to. Let me show you how I use Notion to manage my content creation process, which has every post I ever posted as a content creation from the beginning. Because I have been using Notion even before I started posting online as a creator, but otherwise also, if you already have a database somewhere that you are using, you can still easily move it to Notion and start working from this space. So on the top section, I like to have these views where I can, at a glance, see all of my ideas laid out in a publish date calendar view. Then I also need posts to show up individually within their own platforms. That's why I have the next three views from YouTube, Instagram and Twitter, each of which can have one or more posts under them. A topic can be an idea, like how I do meal planning with the help of Notion is one idea. Then I can create a YouTube video on that topic, which is one post. Then I can create Instagram reel or carousel or whatever on the same topic. That's another post. I can also tweet about it or make a thread elaborating the benefits of meal planning and how Notion helps me in that task. Each of those tasks can go on a different platforms in different formats, but they all originate from this one topic. And having a relationship helps visualize these items a great deal in finding all the things that I posted even long time ago. How much have I talked about it? Or how often have I talked about it? On what all platforms? What kind of formats did I use? I actually maintain all the links to these posts as well in the database, which makes it super fast for me to not just look for an item that I have posted, but I also open that item instantly from the live location using this post. Because I make it a point to always work from this space, so as I go on scheduling or publishing the post, I always make sure to fill in all the relevant data within each of these posts as I publish. This much of discipline is needed if you want this planner to work for you in the intended purpose. Another thing, even though you can practically do a lot of changes in every view, it is important to have a specific defined way you work with your data. For example, I can certainly move the post from status to status, but usually this is not the place where I update the status, because I don't necessarily update statuses of multiple items at once. The type of post I typically make are large ones, and I work on each post on the page itself while updating the individual property as I make the progress on that post. I do move the items on Kanban board from status to status in another view, which I will show you a bit later. On this view, statuses are more like visual guides to show the progress and where each of these posts lie within these topics at a glance. The second view is for the topics, and each of which should belong to one of these content buckets that I have in the content strategy. I can directly add a topic to any of these buckets here, or if I'm undecided, I can simply add this to the ungrouped board. I can come back here later to sort it into a bucket as I get more clarity on the topic. Each of these cards represent a topic. Also shows the general notes if I have added any, and below that it shows all the linked or related posts. If I click on these, I can also see the statuses of the related posts at a glance. It also shows me some more posts below which I can add to the linked post, but I'm a bit careful here because these can get added or removed by mistake if I click somewhere accidentally. Using related items property in a card view like this, I feel is a bit tricky. because linking and unlinking isn't very convenient from here, and I use it just for the purpose of displaying the related post title, and I avoid making updates on this. Over here, this is just a separator line that I created to make the cards more readable. It's just a formula with the format function with these characters arranged, which gives me a line that I can bring in between some of other properties to improve readability. Below this comes the published statuses. How many out of the total have reached the published status, which gets calculated automatically as the status of the underlying posts update. And lastly, since many of these topics can simply be related to one of the tools that I talk about generally, I created a table with tech tools as a relationship to topic database, and I use the same info over these cards on the bottom. It's not meant for all, but it is specifically for me. The last view is where I moved Twitter post statuses. This is the only place where sometimes I create and schedule a bunch of tweets and publish them. So I can come back later and just update them one by one. And ideally, all the published tweets should disappear from the view that are older than 1 week, but not until I also have updated their individual links. This is important to me because, like I've mentioned earlier, I can easily visit those links later if I need to. So that's why I have made all these properties visible here, so that after moving the published status, I can also see what else I need to update and will add these info. So eventually, when all the conditions are met, these posts will disappear from this view, keeping this view clutter free. On the topmost space, I wrote down my schedule that I need to follow while planning my content for the upcoming week or weeks. I don't necessarily meet my own targeted strategy always, but having them laid out definitely works in my favor to execute the content creation, planning, and then production. I have put this inside a synced block because I want this block to be reflected in two different places within this workspace. So if I make change in one place, the other block within the same workspace will also be updated. That's all about the top section of my content planner. As I come down to middle section, this is where I have a list of posts that are not published yet. Some of them will have a target date and some that don't will be on the topmost groups. It says no publish or schedule date. On the right hand side, I have a calendar view, which is basically the same database as the left side, only it displays the items by the publish or schedule dates. And what I can actually do here is drag an item from the left view to the right view on any date of the calendar, and that item will be assigned a publish or schedule date. What this would do here is the item that got dragged into this calendar also got its published date updated, which in turn also updates the grouping of that item on the left hand side. Meanwhile, if it was an item with no date, then it would move to one with appropriate date group. And if it was an item from within a date group, then it would move to another appropriate date group. And that would move to another suitable date group. But you can pretty much do all the planning on the top section also, but having post ideas and calendar side by side makes things very easy to plan in bulk. But otherwise, when I'm on the go, let's say I have only one post idea and I'd like to post it this week itself, and that's all that I want to do at that time, then it's like an ad hoc item that I have in my mind. And I also know in what format and what date it needs to be published. I don't come all the way here. I can just add that to one of my calendars above here that it needs to go, and it will set its platform as well as the date. Then I can link to an appropriate topic from within that post as well. Another thing, I mentioned how I have an ideal content creation schedule I try to follow. I have the same sync block just above the planning section as well. It helps me not have to go back and forth to the top to see my schedule when I'm planning posts here. I also have another two views. Twitter ideas containing all the items that I want to publish to Twitter, and a third one which I don't really use very much, but I'd still tell you what was my idea behind it. So I have a lot of ideas sometimes. I just need to bubble some of them from to-do level to the next up level, so I don't lose which one I picked up in my mind. And this is like a first round of picking up from the sea of post ideas. First, from to do, I can move items to the next up section, and from next up I can drag an item into the target calendar. This target calendar also shows all the items in the idea list that don't have a date set yet, but like I said, that would make it too overwhelming. So gradual method of idea selection is always better for your peace of mind and reduces decision fatigue. I have talked about this thing in my last video, how I started meal planning using Notion because of decision fatigue. You can check that out from the linked video. In that video, I switched to Notion for meal planning, and if you like Notion and you like the idea of meal planning, then you are going to like that video. So you should definitely check that out. Okay, when not needed, I can then toggle this entire section to keep the space clutter free like that. After that, I have my newsletter section over here. This is something that I do with slight less frequency and effort. These posts are not exactly social media posts, so I display them here. And the underlying database for newsletter is also the same as other platform posts, but having them down here again keeps the clutter out. I can add an idea directly to this list and work on them. From idea to working to finally sending the letter. I got this idea of having the newsletter separate from other social media posts from someone, I guess, and I think it was a good one. When I have a newsletter, set its target date, however, it can still appear in the publish calendar here. So I'm not going to forget about it. After that, down here, I have a mind map block that I created for YouTube ideas using Mermaid graph in the code block inside Notion. But I just did it for fun to match the look and feel of my mind maps with the Notion workspace. But it is definitely not the fastest to create a mind map if you want to create one, and there are many other tools that you can actually use to create mind map and just embed them. Try Miro, Figma, and there are quite a few tools out there. Red Gregory, I'll mention her in the description below, and I hope that I pronounced her name correctly. Has a very nice tutorial video on how to create these mind map graphs, and that's actually where I got the inspiration to create these mind maps of my video ideas here. So you can check her out if you are curious to know more about these graphs. I do like the clean look here because it doesn't really move around like an embed. I don't know if you have used an embed or not, but it just moves around. I don't like that. For simple workflow diagrams, I think Mermaid graphs are great. You can have this drop down here that you can change to view the code behind, to split view, or to see the code and the diagram together. But I like to keep it only preview mode after I have updated my graph. For example, as I complete this video creation, I will go ahead and update this node with this color to green and then switch back to preview mode. Okay, what's next? At the last step, I have my brand colors in the table format and a gallery format. Over this, I have a Canva link from where I picked my brand colors, and sometimes I use this link to quickly copy my hex code, because in Notion that copy to clipboard is not really a thing. So sometimes I just use the direct link. It's not necessary, but sometimes it just saves me a bit of time. At the very bottom, I keep all the databases and the master sync pages or any master pages to keep them safe from being accidentally deleted. It's better to organize them all in one place. However, remember, you can delete the records from anywhere. So when I say you can't accidentally delete a database by separating them down below here, you can very much delete the records from any of the linked databases. Remember that because it happened to one of my clients, and she thought she was deleting a copy of the original database and she cleared all the records from a linked database. Don't do that. We got our data recovered, but it took a little bit of effort and time. So it's just a caution. One more important thing, I always create specific mobile optimized pages separately if I need some pages to be accessible from the mobile phones. Then I can create a mobile widget and I link those to these pages so I can directly open those pages without loss of direction. In this case, it makes sense that I have a page just to add my ideas quickly. So I have created an add idea page which looks something like this from the web, but on the mobile device, that's how it would look. It only has two pages: add an idea and then another view that shows all the ideas created today. Nothing else to distract me there. Okay, that's only the home page of this content planner workspace. But there is more, and I think this is the single most biggest reasons why Notion beats everything else for content creation system for me. And that is its database templates. Let's go back to our content calendar now. And when I click this drop down, you will see a whole list of templates that I have for each of these formats. Some of them have simple layouts and some of them have elaborate ones that help me to not forget the important things to do before publishing a post. For example, let's create some sample dummy post from here. I'll pick an Instagram carousel template, let's say. When I apply this template, it creates a whole page with predefined layout that helps me to guide me in this post creation. It also sets the property and value appropriately. So this is how it goes. On the top, it displays my brand colors in the gallery that I can copy from here. After that, I have a master hashtag list here from where I can copy my relevant hashtags into caption. On the right hand side, I have a checklist for Instagram that I need to check before publishing, and some call to action lines that I can just pick from here instead of banging my head for CTA ideas. Remember, I can always update these items from the template edit pages. On the body, I have notes to add what I want to talk about, collect bullet points, etc. On this area, I can brainstorm headline ideas. Finally, under this, I write down step by step what needs to go inside each slide, and that should remain under 10 points because you have 10 slides, right? On the right hand side, I write my caption plus hashtags. After publishing a post, I then update few other properties here as well. I update the status, of course, and then I also update the thumbnail or an image that's the cover picture of any post basically. So I can see them in a gallery view if I need to, which I don't usually, but I just maintain it. Moving on, I also like to update the live URLs where the posts have gone public, so that I can go back to those pages from within my content hub rather than scrolling through my social media feeds. Started and ended dates are mostly used for my YouTube creation because that's what takes me the longest amount of time. So I like to see how many days I spend on each of these posts just to find areas where I can optimize things to make the video creation process a little faster, which I'm still working on, by the way. Okay, I have also created this post ID, which is nothing but a function that gives me this record unique ID, because sometimes I screen record something or create a file ahead of time for a post, and I needed a way to be able to search that file by a unique name. So instead of trying to come up with a file name and then forgetting what did I even name that file at a later point of time, I add these post ID to those file names. Then I can comment about that in a relevant file in a comment section mostly, and that makes it very easy for me to find the exact file. Topic names and content bucket comes from the topic linked to this post, and time taken gets calculated when I add the start date and end date for a post took me from start to publish. Original post and reshare is basically when I reshare the exact post, and I just create a post and link to the other post from within the same database. For example, let's say this is just a reshare of another of my old shared post. Let's connect that. And now I go to that post and come back down here. It would show me that it's a reshare of that item I just linked it from. Good to have, not an essential in my opinion, or is it? I don't know. Depends upon who uses it. Below these separator, I have some more supporting properties that are meant to be displayed on cards or something like that. I keep them hidden always. Let's open the Instagram reel template. Inside this, I just have my hashtag and publish checklist and the caption plus hashtags. Newsletter is simple as well. I have some points to keep in mind while writing my letters and places to brainstorm subject and preview text idea. Finally, there is the body of the email. I write here first and move the content to the newsletter when I have to post. Let me show you my YouTube template, which is actually the most elaborate one, but it needs to be that way because YouTube content creation is actually very elaborate and time and energy intensive. So it needs more structure, planning, and organization of various things to be put together. But at least the pre-built templates keep things under perspective so that by the time you have to publish, you have done your preparation. So in this page, the first thing that I have here is a synced blog that displays the synced content from all of my YouTube pages. The reason why I have it here is mostly during the initial days of my YouTube creation, I used to learn from my mistakes a lot. And by the time I would start working on the next one, I would have forgotten what mistake I did in the past one. and then I would end up repeating that mistake. So I needed a reminder from the previous one, what did I do wrong in that last one, and what took up too much time, etc., and what should I do better the next time. And each phase used to have such learning lessons, and I wrote them down, which since are encapsulated into a sync block, which again is built into a template, could then regenerate themselves into a next YouTube page when I started one. For the starting phase, it helped me immensely. For example, in this editing page, I added a note that I should remember to edit the base video first completely before I add any text or sticker or anything like that, because it made things more complicated when I started adding the stickers already before entirely editing the base video. So I had to add a reminder that don't do this next time, because then it will be messy. And then down here on the left hand side, I have places to add my title ideas, thumbnail ideas, and I add my tags into this block and description over here. On the right hand side, I add some CTAs and outro ideas to be able to add them in the suitable places while I'm scripting. And below that, I have a video editing checklist that I make sure that I follow carefully. Did I blur the confidential parts? Did I add music into appropriate places, stickers, end screens, etc.? Then I have a publish checklist that I check before I publish a video. Here I have a space for ad hoc things to do that come up as I am in the process of creation. Okay, this table is only to track video making efforts, because like I have mentioned already, video creation takes a lot of time and effort. So I needed a way to track exactly how I lost time in creating a video. So this linked effort tracker table is to track hours of each step for a specific video piece. I don't use it that much though, but the idea works. Finally, I have these sections for hook, body, and outro that I update while I script my videos. I also update the status of this post as I scheduled or published as I needed. Sometimes the video takes the status of subtitle when the video has been uploaded to YouTube and YouTube hasn't generated the subtitle yet, which by the way, it can, so that I can come back to those videos and check for the subtitle generation to have been done correctly, and then finally update the status to publish. Visuals tell me what stage each post is. This is helpful to view from a calendar at what stage each post is when I'm batch creating content. So I can add the script to multiple posts at a time. I can create the graphics for multiple posts. Then I just update the status here, so that from the calendar view itself I can know, okay, these things have been created for these posts. Pillars, I don't really use that much. I feel confused about that part, but I have it here anyway. Content goal is to have a goal or direction for each post, and post notes is just to add any generic notes while I'm adding ideas to the planner. And that's how I use this content planner while creating content. I can choose any view that I want to focus on and work from there. Also, let me share this that Notion has recently released this feature where calendar view can now be made to show only a week view, so that I can also change this view like so and have a much focused area to work on. So on all of these pages, all the work gets done before I am ready to publish. Some posts after being added to this content planner get published instantly, but there are other posts that remain in draft for a very long time before I finally have enough things to add to that topic. But it all stays organized within this workspace, and I know how to find them. You can also share the entire team space with a team member or even a specific page, and then you can collaborate on content pieces and assign them to one another. For that, you need to add a person property into the database table. You can also mention another team member within the page itself, bringing their attention to the exact point in the post draft. Notion is an excellent place for collaborative work to take place, so give it a try if you haven't. If you already know how to build Notion spaces, then I hope this gave you an idea how you can improvise yours if you would like, or you would rather save your time building it and start right away from what I presented here. Then I'll leave a link in the description from where you can buy it. If you like this video, you are going to like my upcoming ones as well, so be sure to subscribe so that we can meet again. In the meanwhile, you can check out another video where I explain how I use Notion to plan out my weekly meals ahead of time. So check that out, and you can download that template as well. And that was all for today. This was Snigdha here. I'll see you again. Bye bye.